Today we're going to talk about what's been going on with my investments. Generally everyone's probably having the same results. It's really good, but I had done some changes earlier in the year, where I put stuff. But first thing I want to talk about is I was watching a video today by Eric Schmidt, Holy Schmidt, and he was talking about a fraud, a scam that's been going on for like the last year. And so I actually went out and my defaults were not sent to this. Now, on my IRA account, I have two-factor authentication set, but there's another setting which would actually prevent this. So apparently, what these fraud people are doing is they're going out and setting up an account in another retirement platform, like Bank of America or something like that, with all your information. Then they initiate an account to account transfer from your other account, and essentially they bleed your account. So, and by the time you get it, they've already sucked it out. So he was talking about a setting that I hadn't looked at. It's called the inter account lock, the inter account transfer setting. And I checked my infidelity, and it was not set. That wasn't the default. So what it does is essentially it prevents any transfers from one retirement account to another account. So clearly, if you want to transfer money from one account to another account, you have to disable that, do your transfer, and then re-enable it. But that'll basically block this ability that they're doing, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm always getting warnings on my identity theft stuff saying your social security number has been found or your email address has been found. And I just don't know if there's much you can do about it. So just make sure you have that account setting set. I'm also going to do a video. I don't know. It's been a little frustrating lately. I've two guys that I listen to. One, I'm not going to name names, even though you probably listen to the same people. One, ever since he retired, he's gone all like negative. And I don't know if that's because you get more YouTube hits when you're negative, but all his stuff is negative. It was like he's doing them like every day, and everything's a frown, blah, blah. I unsubscribed. I wrote a comment saying, hey, ever since you retired, you've been nothing but negative. You probably shouldn't have retired. So, and then the other guy that I listen to a lot, I feel like he's just done a lot of sponsors, a lot of advertising. And you could argue, Boldin's an awesome tool. Like I use Boldin all the time. You can tell. So, if you wanted to sponsor Boldin, but he is sponsoring everything, and it's driving me a little nuts because it starts to make me feel like a couple things. Like one, do you need the money? Is your retirement plan not doing as great as you thought? Are you just getting greedy and you want these sponsors? And two, I have heard some bad things about some sponsors. I'm gonna fix this real quick. I've just heard a lot of bad things about some of these sponsors, people, that are being paid to be sponsored, and I don't even know if they're using them. That's what kills me. But so enough of that. I'll never sponsor anyone, that's for sure. So, this is where I'm at. True to form, this is where I'm at now. It's been it's obviously been a good few weeks. This is where I'll be at the end of the plan if all goes well. So let's just dive right in. Let's see here. There we go. So this is, oh, we don't want document recovery. I think I can't see. It's all right. I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just put this here. It's all right. Don't worry about this. My little picture's over my recovery button, so I don't want to hit the wrong one. Okay, so what I did is I went out, I kind of broke down what my investments are, where I'm at. We talked about locking down your inter-account transfer options, so make sure you do that. Right away I'm usually drawn to this. So this is just low risk versus medium risk. So you can see I've got 644,000 in low risk, or at least I'm classifying it as low risk. And then 1.3 million in, which is 70% in medium risk. I don't really have anything, in my opinion, in high risk. But the key to this whole thing, just initial number right out the gate, is that should be enough to cover me for 6 years if I'm really in trouble, this low amount. Would I like that to be a little more? Probably, but you're going to see there's a big, I don't know. I don't know. That's fine for now. In a couple years, I may get a little more conservative. I don't know. So let's go over individually real quick. So I've got 622,000 in my 500 index fund. It's got a year-to-date return of 17 and a half. I've got 216,000 in a Fidelity Zero Total Market Fund, which I took that out of. I was in some other market fund where they were doing it was like a 1%, was it a 1% expense ratio? I did a video on it. So I moved my money into there just to see what would go on, and it's been doing pretty good, 16.79. I mean, almost as good as 500. To be honest, I thought it would be a lot less. It's just been kind of interesting though. I have compared those some days, and the total market is definitely different than the 500 index, which we all know, right? The 500 index is by market cap. Fidelity Zero Total Market is just spread across the entire market. My NASDAQ index obviously has been doing really well. This is year-to-date returns 22%. This is one of the big changes I made. I moved a bunch of money. I had a bunch of money in a government fund, and interest rates, I'm anticipating interest rates are going to go lower, so I moved it in there. So the year-to-date return on my goal, I put both because I moved it like 3 months ago. So it's 50%, 56% year-to-date return. I didn't even realize gold had gone up so much. Like when I moved into gold, it was mainly just because I wanted some kind of secure asset that wasn't T-bills. So, but my last 3 months, I made 16% on that. So that's like fantastic, right? Because if I get, if let's just assume, whatever, that I'm thinking T-bills, I think the Treasury is going to settle on like 3% before they stop. So it would literally take me about 5 years to get what I've done in 3 months. So I'm really happy with that. And I still think gold is like a counter to equity. I mean, who knows? Who knows anymore? Everyone thinks bonds are a counter to equity too, but look what happened with the bond market. So here's my secure fund. I have a fixed annuity for 3 years for 4.45. That's a 4.45 return. I have a little bit left over in my Roth account. That's why I had converted everything in my bigger accounts by 13,000 there, which is not that much. I have 114,000 in a CD that's rendering 4.5. This is the next upcoming change for me. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that CD because I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worth keeping it in a CD for 3%. If I hit 3%, it's probably not going to be. If I can get 4% for a year, I'll probably do it. But I don't know what I'm going to do. And then just a regular interest bearing savings is when I pay the bills and stuff like that. It's 3.5%, 3.4%. Then I have my wife's 529. That's a 215 right now, making a return of 10%. So that's really not too bad. The fun part, which is this is what's fun to check, right? Is I because I moved my stuff into an IRA sometime around April. I had to move stuff into an IRA so I could get buy this annuity because obviously when I was in my 401k, I was limited in what I could buy. So the easy way to find out for my entire portfolio since April is because in April is when I started the account, the IRA. So you'll see I made 12.5%, which this is awesome, right? In let's see, what is that? That's April, May, June, July, August, September. In 6 months, I made 200,000, which is awesome. Now, granted, that is pre-tax, so yeah, taxes into that, you're probably looking at like 175,000. So that's kind of where I'm going. This was a little bit. I went in and looked at my wife's stuff, and it was really more medium than low. A lot of it's in large cap, S&P 500 large cap. So I don't know. Am I big 70? I'm almost a 70-30, 70 medium, 30 low. I probably prefer that to be 50-50. Again, probably looking at the percentage isn't the way to go. To me, the way to go when you look at this is how long can you draw down on your safe investments before you have to draw down on your other stuff. And that's when you get into like sequence of return. You don't want to have to draw down on this stuff when the market's low. So that generally I need about 100,000 a year. Now it's getting this. Some of this is pre-tax, so I probably need like 110. So this is probably like roughly 6 years that I could draw down on before having to touch this. So I'm kind of okay with that. Would I like it to be a little more? Probably. But I probably won't need that much either because when my wife starts collecting her Social Security and she gets her pension, which is reasonable, then this probably draws out to more like 7 years, which is fairly good. So that's it. That's where I'm at. I must say I've been getting a little frustrated lately, not with any viewers or anything, just with other YouTube channels, just like retirement, you should never compare with another channel. That's just silly. Um, but I have compared myself to other YouTube channels sometimes. I get a little frustrated because I feel like so much of the content is just so soft and fluffy and I know I just did one on Friends, but that's because I really felt like that was important. Even though you're excited to retire, you shouldn't share it with all your friends because they're not going to want to hear it all the time. Which is funny because over the last few weeks, people have been asking me a lot more about it, like details of it. Um, but I don't know. It's like I don't see a lot of long-term planning out of these less than 500,000 channels. I can see the appeal. I think I know why they're getting such a large audience, and it's because um, what I've always worried about is like I bet you a lot of people have under $500,000. Um, but I do feel like a lot of these under 500,000 channels are very tactical in nature. They're just looking at month to month and that's it. They're not really looking out into the future. Or what if you hit an emergency where you got to dump 60 grand? What are you doing for cars? I mean, just all the vacations. I feel like it's a very, very, very minimalistic retirement approach. But I guess you know what? I'm blessed. So I can take a long-term approach. Some people just have to retire with what they have and go. But it does drive me a little nuts sometimes because I feel like I'm jamming out a lot of content and a lot of this stuff is like fluff. But anyhow, a little bit of whining. Sorry you had to hear that, but makes me human, right? So hey, you know what? Have a great day. Obviously, especially when I get into this kind of financial investment stuff, I'm not advising you do anything. You do you. But this is just what I'm doing, and I'm sharing. I'm just sharing it with all you guys in hopes that it'll help a little bit. So I'll be doing another video on the tax section of Boldin pretty soon, and that was kind of interesting. So take care and have yourself a great day, and get out when you can, if you can.